Welcome back to our recording. This is a special episode. Me and Ethan are here to talk about and break down For All the Dogs by Drake, our album review, kind of an album conversation. So, Ethan, how you doing, man?
Man, this is as the young Rottweiler, man, I'm excited to break this album down, man. This is for us. This is for the dogs.
For
We're
all
the
the
dogs.
dogs. Yeah, we are the
For
dogs.
all the dogs.
Hey, I've been looking forward to this album. We've been hyping it up on the channel for a while. If you haven't checked out the past videos, go check them out. Make sure you subscribe and like before you get into this video. We really appreciate it. But without further ado, I say we get right into it, E, because these are very natural takes that are going to be coming off. I have not heard how it's been a week since we've really talked. So these are going to be our completely honest and our first reactions to each other's takes and opinions on this album. So without further ado, man,
Hold on. We got to do another warning. We got to do another warning because there's sensitive people out of there.
Oh yeah, hey, let's
sensitive people. Let's address the pussies in the comments that are gonna watch this. These are our opinions on the album. Drake released this album for people to listen to. Therefore, we can have comments on it.
Yep.
Whether you feel like our comments are warranted or whether you feel like we have any validity to make these comments, we don't give a fuck. We don't give a fuck. We like listening to music and we're very opinionated. So if you don't care to hear our opinions, make sure to leave a like and subscribe and comment why you want to hear.
Yeah,
why you don't want to hear our fucking opinions, or don't DM us because I'm not gonna give a fuck. Don't comment on our photos. Not gonna give a fuck.
Or my personal page.
Yeah, we're not gonna give a fuck. If you want to comment on the podcast channel, go right ahead. But yeah, man, I just thought we should put like a little warning right there.
Yeah.
Because you know how sensitive are. I'm not trying to have any of the OVO goons in my fucking comments or see me in real life. So let's not be sensitive here.
Absolutely, man. Well, I guess for starters, I just want to get this off my chest. I like the album. I'm not gonna get into everything about it right now, but I like the album. Just general consensus for me is I enjoyed it. I think this is one of his better projects since probably Views, I'll say. And I'll get into some of the reasons why, but I just want to get just like your kind of base level thought on the album so far.
It's cool. I mean, Drake has been promoting this album since the beginning of the summer. It was supposed to come out last month. I think we all kind of knew he was going to postpone it till the end of his tour, but it's cool. I think out of me and you, I'm probably the bigger Drake fan, but I don't necessarily think I would say I'd have high expectation. I like Drake a lot. He's one of my favorite artists. So I had decently high expectations from the aspect of like, I just wanted music I was going to like, man. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't really hoping for, something that was going to rock my world. But when you see an album called For All the Dogs, the expectation going into it was maybe we was going to get a real, maybe our first full rap Drake album, regardless if he said it or not. When you have that type of impression, that might be what you think you're going to get. And that's very much not what we got at all.
At all. But I will say one thing that a lot of people did say we were going to get from this Drake album was quote unquote the old Drake. And I actually have a list here, my notes. I have some pros and cons for the album, some things I liked, some things I didn't. And for the pros, one of the things I liked was I did hear some of that old Drake sound. Not on all of the tracks, obviously. It wasn't going to be a Take Care clone. I don't think anyone expected it to be. And if you wanted it to be, yeah. And if you expected it or wanted it to be a Take Care clone, just go listen to Take Care. That's what the album is for. But I did get a lot of moments on the album where I was like, man, he is kind of going back in his R&B bag and singing and doing some of this stuff that I really enjoy. So I give Drake a thumbs up for that. I did definitely got some old Drake vibes from this album. Again, not throughout the whole thing, just a few tracks here and there. But what did you think about that? I guess overall, like the vibe of the album, how did you feel about like the cohesiveness and everything?
I haven't really necessarily looked at Drake for cohesiveness since Views. I think ever since More Life, he's kind of took this playlist approach to the albums. I didn't really care too much for the sequencing. The first half of the album was kind of meh for me. It wasn't really for me. Um, the second half is where I really fell in love with it. Basically, from let me pull up my notes right here. From really Bahama Promises to 8 a.m. in Charlotte
Hmm.
was my groove of the album.
Okay.
Not saying there was just certain parts that I liked. I loved that Frank Ocean Wise Man sample at the beginning.
Yep.
Kind of wished him when I first heard that, I thought I was gonna get some champagne poetry, Tuscan leather. Like I thought he was gonna go all the way in, and we got singing Drake. I
Yep.
wasn't mad about it. I wasn't mad about it. I think a lot of it because I just loved the sample, like the pitch up sample. Thought it was amazing. So Virginia Beach, that's probably still gonna be my favorite track of the entire album.
Wow.
Um, that's probably my favorite track. I really liked 8 a.m. in Charlotte was cool. I love rapping Drake.
Yep.
First person shooter, mostly for Cole. But I thought the album
So
was cool. Like I said, I got my 6 or 7 tracks. I'm gonna stay with it.
yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way, man. Like there are some tracks that I really liked. Um, I think for the most part, this is one of the more cohesive albums. Like I think since Views was, I would say, more cohesive in terms of I guess the kind of overall theme and vibe of it. But I think since maybe More Life, this might be his more like his most, I don't know. Honestly, Nevermind was also cohesive in the sound. You know how I feel about that album. Wasn't a big fan of it, but for all the dogs, just I think sonically just really came together for me for a lot of it. Um, so I kind of want to just go through like pros and cons, things you liked about the album. And the first thing I want to just point out from the bat is I love the features on this album. I think he did such a great job of picking modern features, people who were going to help his streams, but also were good combinations. So
Lil Yachty was in line when he said this album was gonna be very current. Like this
yep,
sounds like it was made in the last year. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? Like, and what I mean by that is like you look at Certified Lover Boy, and even certain tracks off of Her Loss, you could tell that these songs are maybe 3, 4 years old that he got around to finishing it, which is not a bad thing. But I can definitely get what Yachty was saying now when he said, "I'm just confused with when he said one of the best Drake verses of all time was on this album."
yeah. I didn't hear that personally.
I didn't hear any the best Drake verse of all time. I didn't hear a top 10 Drake verse. I didn't hear a top 20 Drake verse. I didn't hear a top 30 Drake verse of all time.
Yeah, there
So
there definitely wasn't a Drake verse that made me go, damn, he is spitting. But he had some memorable bars for sure. I think that's one of the pros I have on my notes is some of the memorable kind of dad jokey corny bars on site like www.com. Your girl's laying down white lines like supremacists. Uh, so many checks. I feel Czechoslovakian.
that Czechoslovakian line, that was insane. I don't know
That's
who that. I know Drake sometimes has corny lyrics, and sometimes they hit, sometimes they don't. That was like okay. I was like, all right, this is
yeah.
what we're doing on 8 a.m. to Charlotte.
I love that he had to stop himself too after he's like, hold on, let me
Let me
let me
relax
stop.
over.
Yeah, let me relax real quick. But yeah, I thought Drake had some memorable bars, not a verse that made me like go, wow, this is the reason why we come to Drake for a rap album. But besides that, I thought, like I mentioned, the features. I love the Tizo feature. I think Sexy Red and SZA were very great on that track together. Obviously, the production on this album is elite, and like I said, I think kind of a cohesive overall sound. That overall I enjoyed.
I can
It's
add with
not a
you. I really
perfect album, but
no,
definitely,
but no, but I definitely really like the production on this album. That's probably the highlight. I really liked it. Like I said, that Wise Man sample. I like the production, especially too on 8 a.m. Charlotte,
yeah,
timestamp Drake. You know what? Pun intended. You know what time it is. Like
yeah.
timestamp Drake is one of the best versions of Drake, and 8 a.m. to Charlotte is a back to form. Where does 8 a.m. to Charlotte rank for you when it comes to Drake timestamp records?
Man, that's tough. I think it's definitely up there. But he just has so many good ones that I'd have to go back and like. Yeah.
Let me break them
Yeah,
down.
go ahead. You break them down, man.
So you got I count Do Not Disturb as a timestamp record because it was called I think something it was called the timestamp before it was changed. Same with Middle of the Ocean. So me personally, I don't know it's gonna be better than Toronto. I don't know if it's gonna be better than 4 p.m. in Calabasas. I think it's a little better than 6 a.m. in Dallas, his first one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it cracks his top 3, but I really, really like the fact that he had a Conductor Williams beat.
Yeah. And
that's basically what I was really have. The dust head neck beard in me. I was really paused. I was really excited with the fact that he had that production. So I'm not mad about it. I thought it was great that he dropped it like the day before.
Yeah, I am really impressed with the production. Like you said, he kind of took it back. He kept it modern, but found ways to like kind of throw in these more simple but kind of like classic sounding beats. I also love the what's it called? The Scarface sample he used too. I forgot what track it was on, but was it 7969 Santa?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I love that because I feel like a lot of rappers in like the late 90s and the early 2000s were like overusing Scarface samples, and Drake is kind of bringing back the trend. So I kind of like it. I kind of want to get into some cons because like I said, this
was daylight.
Perfect...
It was daylight. It was daylight, not 7969.
Oh, okay. It was on daylight. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, daylight has one of the cons actually that I want to talk about. Well, I don't know if it's really a con, but I just found it interesting. We wouldn't have gotten, or okay, I should preface this. If you haven't listened to Daylight, go check it out first off. Go listen to the whole album if you're a Drake fan. If not, at the end of Daylight, Adonis, Drake's son, has his debut as a musician on the album, singing a little verse, and it's very cute. But I couldn't get over the fact that we wouldn't have gotten that feature if it weren't for Pusha T.
No, Drake would still be hiding his kid, which is cool. Like, I did like the fact that in the 8 a.m. to Charlotte music video at the beginning, Drake was like, he was like, "Oh, so how much did you get paid for the drawing?" And he was like, "Oh, please,
oh, please."
I thought that was really funny.
How much do you think he's getting paid for that verse?
Oh, I think his little trust fund is gonna get some nice additions towards it. You know what I'm saying? But I really wanted to get into the shits with regards to the discussion that this album is having, right? And the two biggest things is with every Drake project, it's gonna be really polarizing. Yep. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what type of project it is, how much people end up liking it in the long run, how much people end up disliking it in the short term. There's always going to be a discussion. And the biggest thing was Joe Budden on his podcast recently. He made some comments that overall had to do with the theme of he thinks Drake needs to mature and grow up. That he's tired of him rapping about sleeping with 25-year-olds and being addicted to Percocets and all this type of stuff. And he doesn't really care for it. And he's kind of over that. And Drake responded by tearing his ass a fucking new one, saying that he's a failed rapper. Nobody even knows his jersey number, so they can't even retire it. And he went in. And I just wanted your thoughts on the fact. Do you think Joe Budden went too far with his comments about Drake?
The thing is, we're in a position like Joe Budden where we are just commenters on hip hop. Obviously, he was a rapper and a well-respected one by a lot of people.
A very good one. A very good one at that.
I would say a very well-respected rapper. And I think that's why so many people get kind of butthurt when he has criticisms on their album. And Drake is far from the first person to be upset with something Joe Budden has said. And I think it's just kind of funny sometimes that like the artist, especially with Drake's case, because most of the time, if Joe Budden doesn't like something, he will make it abundantly clear that he hates it. I mean, ask Logic. Logic was getting completely shat on by Joe Budden. He had nothing nice to say about Logic. That's not the case here. Joe Budden had a lot of good things to say about this album and a lot of good things to say about Drake. But he definitely had some criticisms, and fair ones, I believe. Because one of my cons for this album, even though I love the track, First Person Shooters with J. Cole, how are you going to let J. Cole wash you on your own album? The first time you've had Cole on an album in 10 years. No, first time he's had Cole on a song in 10 years. I don't think he's ever been on a
He's never
full-length
had Drake.
album. It was the
Well,
Jodeci
yeah, Jodeci
freestyle, right?
freestyle. Yeah, Jodeci freestyle.
But besides that, this is the first time that he's done a song with Kendrick or J. Cole, and he gets absolutely mollywopped by J. Cole on the track.
He got cooked, man. Let's keep a spade a spade. Like, let us know in the comments down below. Do you think Cole had a better verse than Drake on first person shooter? I think Drake kind of saved it towards the end, like his last verse when he switched the beat up, but the damage had already been done. Cole cooked him, flipped him upside down, fried him on both sides.
Put some pepper and salt on him, man.
Like, oh my god, he was cooked up. But I think like that's just like critique about the album, and I think the fact that Drake responded the way that he did, I have no problem with people responding to criticism. We might get to a point where people are going to respond to shit we say, and we're going to have to answer for it. It's a two-way street. It's not a one-way street where commentators can just say something about an artist and they just got to hold it. But at the same time, Drake was really butthurt. Like, you could tell in that comment, like, it hit close to home. Like, it really hit close to home. And I thought it was funny how afterwards Joe kind of took the high road from the aspect of like, hey man, just grow the fuck up. Like, Father Time is undefeated. Like, and I have no doubt on the next episode of the Joe Budden podcast, he's gonna go insane on him. But you could tell how much it bothered Drake. Like, Drake had that in the cut. He's been waiting to say something again. And this is not the first time they've had comments about each other. Like, and if you want to do your own research on why they, you know what I mean, dislike each other from that aspect. But I think Joe, as a person that listens to that podcast, Joe is someone that is a self-identified Drake fan. Stan even. Like, he loves Drake. And I think he added some extra fluff, of course, to his comments about Drake's verse and the album as a whole, but he also gave it a lot of love.
Yep.
And I think Joe Budden fell into Drake. I think Drake fell victim to the thing of, well, I say 1,000 good things about you and you don't say nothing, but I say one bad thing about you and now you got a problem with me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that's why he took to Instagram with those comments.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't mind it. Like, I think it's good when you have controversy like this. And that's actually something I wrote in my notes is I like that Drake stirred the pot a little bit after. If like he doesn't like what someone has to say about it, sure, you can go at him.
I would have rather him went on Joe on wax than an Instagram comment. Yeah. What is this going to do? We're not going to care about this next week.
But see, that's what I was going to say too, is like, one of my cons for the album, even though he took some shots at I think he took some shots at Rihanna and A$AP Rocky. I don't know.
He did. Let's keep a spade a spade.
I think so. For sure.
Because every time we see a picture of Rihanna and A$AP in the past 2 years, let's not lie here. We've all been thinking, oh, I wonder what Drake thinks about this. Like, making sly jokes here and there. The internet has been. But now Drake finally talked about it. And I just find it hilarious. Because we know A$AP Rocky's not going to rap about him.
At all. I mean, well,
a Rihanna album is... He might in his upcoming album. Because it's, like, on the track, it was on Fear of Heights. It was on Fear of Heights.
It was Fear of Heights.
He literally opened up with saying, I'm anti. Yeah, and the sex was average with you. Yeah, I'm anti because I had it with you. Okay, I'm auntie like your daddy's sister. Auntie like a family picture. And I had way better bitches than you, TBH. Yeah, that man, he's still with you. He can't leave. Y'all go to vacation. I bet I don't know what that last word is, so cook me if you want. But he's talking about A$AP and Rihanna. Like, it's so obvious he's talking about A$AP and Rihanna.
Yeah, he also had the Dylan Brooks bar. So that was kind of funny. I like that he's stirring the pot, but that's the one thing is I wanted to see. This album is called For All the Dogs. I wanted to see a little more dog from Drake. I wanted to see him put a few more names on the bullets, take some more shots. There are a lot of people speculating that he took a shot at The Weeknd on one of the songs, but I didn't really see it that way. It didn't really sound like a diss. Just kind of sounded like a name drop. But besides that, like there really wasn't much for me to analyze and be like, oh, Drake could be talking about so-and-so here. So that was one of my big problems with the album. Or I guess not big problems, but just something that I wish he would have done a little bit more of, kind of gotten in his I don't give a fuck bag. I don't care what you think about me. I don't care what you're gonna think of this album. I'm Drake, and I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
I feel the exact same way, but from the opposite perspective. I feel like a lot of this, really, the last 3 or 4 Drake albums, he's been an autopilot, and I don't blame him. He's the biggest artist in the world, biggest streaming artist in the world. He's about to break Michael Jackson's most number ones records. So if I was him, I wouldn't give a damn about what anybody thinks about me.
Yeah.
Even though he does. I wouldn't give a damn about really rapping anymore because he doesn't really care about rapping that much anymore. A la the Sexy Red and SZA song on the album. They have no reason to be together. That song sucks. And it's going to work because of TikTok and because Sexy Red is a fab now. Like, she's trendy and everybody loves SZA too. I love SZA and I like Sexy Red. But that song sucks. But it's going to get played. It's going to be a top 5 song. It's going to be a hit on TikTok. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how I feel about the Bad Bunny song. Because that song is horrible.
Okay.
That song is horrible.
I was just
that
about to
horrible.
say.
You're a Bad Bunny defender. Come on.
Hey, I will defend Bad Bunny on this song too, because I thought his part was good. Drake singing in Spanish is a no-no. We need him on just the chorus. When he tries to speak Spanish, it hurts me because this is coming from 2 people who grew up in Spanish-speaking households. Did that hurt you? It physically hurt me listening to Drake speak Spanish.
Like, the first time I listened through, I skipped it. I just went to the next song. Like, I had to go, when on my second listen, I sat through the whole thing. Yeah, I didn't mind didn't they have a song together on Mia? Was that Bad Bunny or was that somebody else?
That was Bad Bunny and Drake. And
I didn't mind it. It was solid. Drake
was mostly just doing the chorus on that song. He had a little bit of a part, but even on that one, he sounded so much smoother than he did on this album. It just sounded so like forced coming out on this album. So that was one of my notes, was no more speaking Spanish, Drake.
And I'm like, and that's when I get the argument of Drake needs to, like, you know what I mean, just stay in his lane and be a little, I guess, evolve it a little bit and become more mature. Because the songs like I Don't Give a Fuck with Yeet, the Sexy Red and SZA song, and the Bad Bunny song, those 3 songs right there. If anybody needed evidence that Drake is like chasing the youth, it's those 2 songs right there. Because Drake doesn't have to chase like the sound. Drake doesn't have to cater so much to kids, and that's pause. Like, kids. Let me clarify. Kids in the sense of like the youth, like people like me and Gage and people our age. He doesn't have to. Drake is Drake, and I think we're gonna be coming up really close. We're coming up soon on the fact that I think Drake he's gonna have to realize, like, he needs to kind of step out the way. You know what I'm saying? Or just make the music he wants to make. If he really wants to make this, and he might want to make this, then go right ahead. Me, as a person that's loved Drake my entire life, because Drake's been out since 2008. I really started listening to music in 2007, 2008. Like, I don't really care to hear those type of songs. And those songs, they sound phoned in. They sound like, Yeet, Sexy Red says, they're a thing now? Yeah, let me just call them, see if they got any throwaway tracks, and let me hop on it. Like, it sounded forced.
Yeah,
it really did sound forced, and he might have relationships with these people. He might be cool with these people, but on a Drake album, it sounds forced.
See, that's kind of where I was at too, especially with the Bad Bunny feature, because, you know, obviously you want to take advantage of the star power that Sexy Red, Bad Bunny, and Yeet have right now. They're all very big in their respective genres and in their respective kind of like atmospheres of music right now, but like you said, it just sounded kind of phoned in. Like, it was something that Drake called them, asked them if they had an extra track, and I just we know that he can do more. We know that he can do well.
But I think my biggest issue with Drake now, and not saying I don't love him. I have to, like, I love Drake the artist, like, I really do. But my biggest issue is you don't hear that hunger anymore from him. Now that he's been on the mountaintop for the past 10 years, and I don't blame him. He's been on the top. Why would he have hunger anymore? He's getting number ones after number ones. He's chasing Michael Jackson. He passed the Beatles. Why would he still have that hunger?
Well,
but then again, me as an audience member, I don't have to take it. Like, me as a consumer, I don't have to take it anymore.
And I'll tell you what, this is a rumor, or I don't know if he confirmed it or not, but there's stuff going on around on the internet right now that Drake is going to take a break from music for a while.
He said at the end of the album, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how truthful he remains to that, because, you know, he joked about Kendrick being out of the game for 5 years, but this is something that Drake might need, because I feel like a lot of people, me personally, I like the album. I
So
think I
so
grabbed
what
my
are
favorite
so
tracks.
what are you saying? Are you saying that Drake might need a break?
I'm saying Drake needs a break. I think as of right now, there are so many fans who are just overwhelmed with all of the music that he's been dropping, especially over the past 4 or 5 years, that they haven't really been able to absorb all of it the way that I think you can a Kendrick album or a J. Cole album when they drop less often. And especially because just like the other 4 albums he's dropped, this is a very bloated album. It's 20 tracks, 90 minutes long. It's been a problem for Drake.
Drake has too many groups of people that he wants to appease to, and that's I think the main difference between him and a Kendrick or a Cole. The Kendrick and a Cole, it really that those rap fans and a little bit of like a global fan base from that perspective. Drake has so many different people, so many different groups of people that he wants to appease to, and so that's why I think you're going to get these bloated projects with a really big variety of feature artists on there because he's trying to evolve his sound, but at the same time, he's chasing relevancy when I don't think he has to chase relevancy. He is the gold standard. He is the prodigal son. He is the, you know what I'm saying? Like, he is the bar. Like, not to glaze this nigga, but like, Drake is like the biggest artist in the world. Like, and you can make the case that he became this way because he did go into those different pots the way that Kendrick and Cole can't. But then you're gonna get critiques from people like Joe Budden when he says that he needs to mature and he needs to stop fucking these 25-year-olds. You know?
Yeah. And I'm okay. So I think my biggest thing about your argument is we've seen artists try to change their sounds, try to do different things and appease to different audiences. I think Drake would benefit a lot from just taking his time and putting maybe just a little bit more time and a little bit more effort because I love the idea for Honestly Nevermind. I think Drake, what if executed properly, could put out a really great album like that. But I just felt like Honestly Nevermind was something that he created in a week on vacation. And like this is
He
just
kind of half-assed it.
he kind of half-assed it. And not to say that he has to take 5-year breaks in between his album. I don't expect him to do that, but maybe a little bit longer and cut some of the filler tracks, some of the tracks that okay.
But he doesn't. But my argument to you is like there is no incentive. There is no incentive for him to do that because if everything he makes turns to gold, why would he take his time? Why would he have that hunger that we used to see?
No, you're certainly right. And there's definitely a business standpoint to look at it from too. We are in a completely new era of music and the way that we listen to music. And these 20 track albums are money for him because like basically like for us, everyone's going to go in, pick their 10, 15 favorite tracks off the album, save them to their library, and he's going to get streaming off of the whole album. This is going to be the highest streamed Drake album since Views. And it's not even going to be close.
It's going to pass all of them. Give it like 2 months. They're going to find some new metric that's going to say it's the highest streaming Drake album since da-da-da-da-da. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, exactly.
So I get it. And just to wrap up, like, I'm not a person that, like, I think my thoughts on the album, it was cool. Like, I'm not really, I can hope for a Drake classic album, but I'm not going to hold him to that standard anymore because he doesn't hold himself to that standard.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I got my 5 or 6 tracks off of it, but I can see why people maybe have started to outgrow Drake, especially the older demographic, because he doesn't really make music for older people on older rapper heads. Because I can see why. Another thing too is because when Drake was trying to make that shit with Take Care and Nothing Was the Same, and If You're Reading This Is Too Late, he got shitted on by the old heads. But now they want him to go back and make that shit.
Yeah.
It's like a loop. It's like one big loop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it definitely is. History repeats itself. And I think there's a lot of unnecessary hate for Drake. A lot of rightful criticism too, but I think for the people who are saying, "Oh, this is the worst album ever," guys, get over it. Like, it's not that deep.
Just for shits and giggles, right? For those who are made it here all the way to the end of the podcast, what does this Drake album rank for you?
Oh, that's tough. Okay.
Already on first 2 listens, subject. I'm put on the screen. Subject to change.
um. Okay, hold on. I actually have my Drake albums listed. Um.
What do you got?
Let's see.
I can give mine if you're not ready.
Yeah, go ahead. You go
Number
first.
one for me is Nothing Was the Same. Number two is If You're Reading This, It's Too Late. Number three is Take Care. Number four, More Life. Number five, Views. Number six, So Far Gone. Number seven, I want to put. It's a tough because this is when it gets into mid for me. But seven, I'm at seven, right? I'm at six.
6 or 7. I kind of have it in that rank too.
And seven, I'm gonna put Thank Me Later. 8, I'm gonna put Certified Lover Boy. 9, I'm gonna put Scorpion. 10, I'm gonna put Her Loss. 11, I'm gonna put 11, I'm gonna put What a Time to Be Alive. And no, I'm gonna put Honestly Never Mind over What a Time to Be Alive and Her Loss. And then this goes last place for me.
This is your least favorite Drake album
so far.
Wow. Okay. So I didn't.
I lied. I put Nothing. What a Time to Be Alive.
Okay, so I didn't include any of his collab albums on my list. My least favorite Drake album is Honestly Nevermind. To have been vocal about that.
Oh, and we forgot October's very own. I know a lot of people are gonna fucking murder me or comeback season. So
yeah,
it's okay.
Mixtape, I guess, but yeah. So I think our top fives are kind of similar. I have If You're Reading This, Is Too Late. Nothing Was the Same. Take Care at 3. Thank Me Later at 4. So Far Gone at 5. And then before this album came out, I have Certified Lover Boy at 6 and Views at 7. I think it's somewhere in between or kind of like above or below those albums. Like I could say that it's better than Certified Lover Boy, or I could say it's better than Views, but I think it's really just gonna have to withstand this the test of time for me, because I didn't really like Views a lot when it first came out, but it's grown on me more, and I think that's why I have it at 7 on my list right now. Like Ethan said, subject to change, but that's kind of where I have it at, middle of the pack. It's not his best, it's not his worst. But before we close it out, yeah, I just want to get like your last, just some of your favorite tracks, man. What were some of the tracks that stood out to you? Ones that you downloaded and ones that are going to be in your top 100 songs of the year.
Virginia Beach. I love the Frank Ocean Wiseman sample. Bahama Promises. Drew Picasso. What Would Pluto Do? Drake missed a golden opportunity to have a feature on that, by the way. Yeah. And First Person Shooter because of the J. Cole verse.
Cool.
Even though, shout out to Tizo. I don't know about you. Side note, I was getting crazy Ty Dolla Sign vibes the entire album from Tizo. Yeah. And I kept thinking, why does he have just Ty Dolla Sign do this? But then I realized Ty Dolla Sign's kind of doing a collab album with Kanye right now. So I get it.
Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that one. Amen is actually one of my favorite tracks. My only things, I wish it was just a little bit longer. Like I love Tizo. I think Drake did his thing on that one too. Obviously a big fan of First Person Shooter with J. Cole. Tried Our Best is my standout for the album. That's one of my favorite tracks. One of my favorite Drake tracks of the last couple of years, if I had to say. Also a big fan of 8 a.m. in Charlotte. I liked it the night it came out. And I also go 7969 Santa. That was another one that I will probably find myself revisiting a lot. This has been our recording. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.